Let's talk about PowerPoint's Presenter View feature. Presenter View is a specialized mode designed to help you manage and deliver your presentation more effectively while keeping your audience focused solely on the slides. The Presenter View feature has a host of advantages, but looking at this slide deck, let's talk about the main advantage, and that would be the speaker's notes. Down here in my speaking notes section, these notes could be what I need to say, or they could just be reminders to make sure that I don't miss any of my important points. But the problem is, if I run the show, this is what the audience sees on the big screen, but this is also what I see on my laptop, and I need to see those notes. Now, obviously, I could print the notes ahead of time and have them on my lectern, but maybe I don't want to do that. Well, what if we could do this instead? We run the show, this is what the audience sees, but this is what I see as the presenter. This is the presenter view. The most obvious advantage of the presenter view is the ability to see your speaking notes. But let's look at the other things that presenter view offers. First, how do we get this view? In a slideshow, we go to the slideshow ribbon, and in the monitors section, there's an option here that says use presenter view. And when you click that, if you then run the slideshow from the beginning or from some current slide like this one, this is what the audience will see, but this is what you will see. Now, the major sections, we have a sort of pseudo ribbon at the top that gives us access to things like displaying the taskbar if we need to start some other program, or maybe altering the display settings, or ending the slideshow. Then we've got these three panels, left, top right, bottom right. Now, these panels are resizable, so we have a vertical line here we can adjust left and right, and we have a horizontal line here that we can adjust up and down. So you position these what works best for your display size. On the left is the slide that we're currently displaying. In the upper right is the slide that's coming up, the next slide. Now, the great thing about this preview, while you're speaking about the current slide, in the back of your mind, you could be forming your thoughts and getting your cues together for the upcoming slide. So this way, if you don't remember what the next slide is going to be and you don't know what you're going to say, it's not a total surprise when it hits the screen. You get a chance to form your thoughts. In the lower right are your speaking notes for the current slide. Now, if your monitor is not very large and it's difficult to read the notes, there are some font size controls here in the bottom so you can increase the font size. This might make it easier for you to read. Of course, the downside is if you have a lot of notes and you make the font size large, you will have to scroll through your speaking notes. In the bottom left, we can see what slide number we're on out of how many total slides, and we can advance to the next slide or regress to the previous. Back in the upper left, we've got a timer. Shows how long we have been presenting with this slideshow. We can also see what the current time is. This might be useful if you have a certain amount of time that you can speak and you want to make sure you don't run over. You can pause your current timer or just reset it entirely. When giving a presentation normally, if you need to do things like mark up on the screen or use the virtual laser pointer, you would wiggle the mouse on the screen, and this would display a set of icons in the lower left corner. So we can move backwards through the slideshow, forward through the slideshow. There's a pen icon, and when you click that, you can activate the laser pointer, the markup pen, the markup highlighter, or even choose your color. We could display all of the slides as thumbnails, allowing us to jump forward or backwards through the slideshow. We could activate the subtitle feature, and this is pretty interesting because if you're giving a live presentation, but you want to have live subtitles, you can activate this, and if you have a microphone hooked up to your laptop, it will transcribe everything that you're saying in real time. So this is great when you're giving a live presentation, but there might be people in the audience with hearing challenges. And if we go to the ellipse button, the options button, we have a variety of other options. But as you've probably noticed, those little buttons are difficult to see, especially in certain slide designs, and they're quite small. But in presenter view, we get nice large buttons that are very easy to see, and they're always on the screen. So as before, we have our pen where we could activate the laser pointer, the markup pen, the highlighter, change our arrowing options. We could get thumbnail views of all of the slides so we could jump to a particular slide very quickly. We can activate the magnifier, so if we need to zoom in on a particular part of the screen. We could black the screen if we need to. Activate the online subtitles in case we need that live transcription. Turn your webcam on or off if you have one. And then there's the option buttons that gives us all those other choices. I mentioned earlier that to use the presenter view, you have to have a second display, like a television or projector connected to a laptop. If you have more than one additional display and you want to use presenter view, you may have to go to this dropdown and tell PowerPoint exactly which display will display the presenter view. And if you're not sure which is which, you can just switch between them, run the show, and then see where it pops up. But in my classes, I tell people that you need to practice your presentations. And if you're going to use the presenter view, you need to practice using this particular interface. So that way you don't feel clumsy going through the different controls or trying to find specific features. But suppose you're flying to the big conference, you're 40,000 feet in the air, and all you have is your laptop, but you want to practice using the presenter view. One way to do this is to hold down your Alt key when you run the show from the beginning or from the current slide. So if I hold down Alt, current slide, I can start in the presenter view. In terms of keyboard shortcuts, F5 will always start you from the beginning of the show, whereas Shift F5 always starts you from the current slide. Well, if you hold down the Alt key, let's get an alternate version of these actions, and Alt F5 will start you from the beginning of the show in presenter view. And if you want to start from a very particular slide in the middle of the show on a single display, that would be a Shift F5, but you'll do the alternate version of Shift F5, Alt Shift F5. And now we can practice while we travel when we only have our single display. So that's the presenter view in PowerPoint. Give yourself additional control over your presentation while not divulging too much additional content to the user that's only meant for you. It's a valuable tool for anyone delivering a presentation because it empowers you with essential information and controls at your fingertips while keeping the focus on your message for the audience. So let me know your thoughts on the presenter view. If you want to practice this, feel free to download this slide deck. It also makes for a nice little introduction on photography terminology. The download link is in the video description. Thank you for watching, and remember at BCTI, the learning never stops.